Good evening and thank you for joining me on Black News Tonight. I'm Marc Lamont Hill. Tonight we start with an update on the trial of Kim Potter, the former Minneapolis police officer charged with first and second degree manslaughter for shooting and killing 20-year-old Daunte Wright during a routine traffic stop in Brooklyn Center. Today was the second day of jury selection as 5 more jurors were added to hear the trial. In total, 9 jurors have been seated in the selection process that could potentially take weeks to conclude, as 5 more jurors are needed to complete the panel of 14. Potter fatally shot Wright as he tried to drive away from a traffic stop on April 11th. Potter, who is scheduled to testify in the trial, according to one of her attorneys, claims she mistook her handgun for her taser during the fatal incident. Jury selection is scheduled to resume tomorrow. Best-selling author Alice Siebold has issued a public apology for her part in the wrongful rape conviction of Anthony Broadwater, a black man who spent more than 16 years locked up in prison. Little more than a week after the now 61-year-old Broadwater was exonerated in the 1981 rape of Siebold, her representative sent a copy of the apology to Broadwater, calling him a, quote, innocent man. Publishing companies Scribner and Simon & Schuster announced they're halting publication and distribution of all formats of the 1999 memoir called Lucky, which chronicles the rape of Siebold. Netflix also announced it will not be moving forward with its film adaptation of the memoir, which was already in development. A monumental argument took place today at the Supreme Court of the United States. The court listened to oral arguments over a Mississippi law that prohibits all abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy, as the 9 justices are tasked with whether to reverse the Supreme Court's nearly half-century-old Roe v. Wade decision and subsequent decisions. Previously, all the court's abortion rulings have upheld Roe v. Wade. BNC correspondent Rariana Maniz has more.
The abortion rights battle is front and center at the nation's highest court once again.
I came all the way from Texas, and I am here today because abortion should be everyone's human right.
Being pro-life is very important to me because my own parents chose life for me when an abortion was recommended.
The Supreme Court heard oral arguments for over an hour in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health, as Mississippi is requesting the court to uphold a 2018 law restricting abortions after 15 weeks. The court's conservative majority is being closely watched as justices appear prepared to shift the legal standard from 24 weeks to 15 weeks.
And why would 15 weeks be an inappropriate line? So viability, it seems to me, doesn't have anything to do with choice. But if it really is an issue about choice, why is 15 weeks not enough time?
Liberal justices argued that reversing Roe versus Wade puts the court's legitimacy at stake.
To overrule under fire in the absence of the most compelling reason to re-examine a watershed decision would subvert the court's legitimacy beyond any serious question.
Meanwhile, the court is not expected to issue its ruling until next spring, leaving many on edge.
When I think back now of having a child who would have been the product of that rape, what does that do to the child? What would that have done to me? And then I was not in the mentally, emotionally, financially, I was not in the place to be able to take care of a child.
The Supreme Court is not expected to rule on the case until next year. Thank you, Ariana, for that report. The CDC says the HIV epidemic is still disproportionately affecting Black, Latinx, gay, and bisexual men. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky said, quote, the first CDC report showing that AIDS was disproportionately affecting Black and Hispanic Latino people was published in 1986. Today's Vital Signs report confirms that, unfortunately, those disparities continue today. New findings show that while there was a decline in diagnosed HIV infections amongst white men between 2010 and 2019, the number for Black and Latinx, gay, and bisexual men remained the same. The CDC Vital report also revealed there is a lower usage of PrEP in BIPOC queer communities. Let's turn now to the trial of former Empire star Jussie Smollett, who is accused of lying to authorities about an allegedly fake racial and homophobic attack that happened in 2019. Smollett is being charged with 6 counts of felony disorderly conduct, and if convicted, he faces up to 3 years in prison. Today was the 3rd day of the trial, and things continue to look bad for the actor as the prosecution brings the 6th witness who has confirmed their version of the case. Amid many twists and turns and all the media attention the case is getting, there's still a lot to unpack, still a lot of truth to be unfolded, and a whole other perspective that needs to be understood. Joining me now to help us better understand the case is the Chicago-based artist and abolitionist, Bella Baz. Welcome to the show, Bella. So good to see you. Jussie's case has a lot of eyes on it. First of all, why do you think this case is getting so much attention by people who otherwise wouldn't be caring about a case in Chicago?
Not a low-level felony case in Chicago. Not this case in Chicago. There's so many people who care about this case in Chicago because there's so many people in high places who want to punish Jussie Smollett. That's really the bottom line. Chicago's mayor at the time, Rahm Emanuel, had a vendetta against Jussie Smollett. He basically called his troops out, called the police, called on them to prosecute this man. Said in the public that this was beyond a reasonable doubt. He's guilty. Police, like, this is misconduct. You're not supposed to engage like that about a case, right? But this is routine in Chicago. This is Chicago politics. Once Chicago law enforcement officials determine that you are who they want to punish for a crime, regardless of if you are responsible for a crime, then you will be punished for that crime.
Here's a question that I've had. I haven't gotten a satisfactory answer by anybody. So many people who identify as left-wing, so many people who identify as being critical of law enforcement and police, and they're marching in the streets. Now they're suddenly believing the police account, they're believing the state's account uncritically. Why? How do we account for that contradiction?
Honestly, Mark, it's given homophobia. It's given homophobia. Like, there's no reason, particularly in Chicago, there is no reason for you to ever just trust the police at face value. I met Jussie during the time when police murder of Laquan McDonald, the CPD murder of a 17-year-old Black boy, right? And Jussie was adamant about amplifying activists on the ground, right, who was actually telling the truth about what's going on. He amplified me. This is how we got in contact in the first place, right? Like, Jussie knows how to use the avenues, the platforms, the resources, the human capital around him to bring social issues to the forefront, right? He does that in his art. He is a multifaceted, multi-hyphenated artist. And he knows how to bring issues, right? He's an activist too, so he knows how to shed light on issues without staging a hoax, right? CPD is who's notorious for staging hoaxes.
You have been following the case inside the courtroom, but yesterday, after you talked to the media, the judge kicked you out. What happened?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure they were just waiting on an opportunity to kick me out anyway. There really wasn't any, there's not any, the court does not want to have the public in the courtroom, right? Like, the only public that is in there right now is the media, right? And it's rows on rows, just reserved for media. When I first came, they did not even want to let me in the courtroom. They told me that it was at capacity. It is not at capacity. Even if you take into account COVID restrictions, that's a joke because they're not following them. So it is not at capacity. You told me that because you weren't going to let any public into this space, right? You had to cede and let me in because the family told you I'm with the family. Or that they wanted me there. And they were making space for me. They had to make have someone leave so that I can come in, because now you can't argue that it's at capacity, right? Someone left. Okay, so now I get to see these, the reality of what you say is going on in the courtroom and what is actually going on in the courtroom, who's actually present. When I say the media is present, I mean white people, right? It's just white people. There's a couple blacks sprinkled in there, like on the jury, white. I think it's one black person. But yeah, so I'm getting to see what's going on. And I have a voice in Chicago. I write a column called the Revolutionary Column. I, talk about these issues all the time. Again, I told you, me and Jussie met while I was organizing around the Laquan McDonald case, and that was in 2015. So I've been doing this work. And yeah, it wasn't about me talking to the media, right? Like, even the family had talked to the media. The judge kept lying and saying a different reason for why I couldn't be there, right? Even the family had talked to the media, and he's like, well, the family can't talk to the media, and she's sitting in the front, so I think she's family, and they can't talk to the media. But that's not the truth, right? So, but also the judge has complete discretion to kick anybody out the courtroom whenever they feel like it, right? In Cook County, they can.
But of course, though, that discretion should be exercised in a way that's consistent and fair and not displaying any bias. I'm not saying the judge has, but that's at least another standard that we have to investigate, and that's why we had you here. And we're covering this trial every single day, Bella, so we'll be sure to have you back so we can continue to unpack what's going on inside the courtroom, but also all of these other issues that are happening outside the courtroom, because to be sure, the Jussie Smollett trial has a lot more to do than just what's happening in that courtroom right now. Thanks so much for joining me on Black News Tonight. Everybody, stay with me and also join the conversation, because we want to hear from you. Head over to our BNC Instagram and Twitter pages. Let us know how you feel. Also visit our website, bnc.tv, and subscribe to our YouTube page to check out clips from the show.